the one, the only, Ben Sion.
Good afternoon and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube, just Daf It. Today we're doing Sotah, Daf Yud Gimel, number 13. Great share for you today. It's the afternoon here. And second Daf I'm doing today, but we got to prepare 2-day Yontiv. Come on. America, get with the program. Israel's got it right. 1 day for Yontiv. I'm waiting for the rabbis to get up and nullify this Yom Tov Sheni Shel Goliath. When the Gullus is over, Mashiach comes, there's no more Gullus anymore, and then it'll be 1 day. And you have a right to live in America. Make Aliyah, of course. To where? That's the question. All right. The Gemara says, in Gilal and Bays, two dots, about 6 lines down. Yosef Zacha was talking about Mida Keneged Mida, that people in a positive light, that Yosef buried his father. So therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu buried Yosef. He brought his bones up from Egypt to bury him in Israel. Yosef Zacha, Maishna Mikara Dechsi Vayal Yosef Gboras Aviv, Vayalu Osoko Avdei Paro, Vahadar Rachol Basis Yosef Ve'echav. When they were going to bury Yaakov, Yosef is first, then his servants, Egyptian servants, and last is all the brothers. When they're going back to see Vayashiv Yosef Mitzrayim, Yosef went back first. Who ve'echav? Him, and then his brother second. And then all the Egyptian servants third. Before they saw the great eulogy they did for Yaakov Avinu, they didn't give honor to the brothers. They saw how great Yaakov was. They gave kavod to all the brothers. They came to a place, a threshing floor of thorns. Do you thresh thorns? Are thorns valuable that you want to thresh them and process them? It's a metaphor that everyone placed their own crowns. We'll see many different leaders and kings place their own crowns on the coffin of Yaakov in order as a tribute to him. Just like a goren, a threshing floor, is surrounded by thorn bushes to protect it. Shabo, Bnei Esav, Bnei Yishmael, Bnei Keturah, they all came, all the kings descended from Esav and Yishmael and Keturah, who was one of the Pilagshim of Avram. Tana Kula Hagar, Tana Kula L'Melchama Bo. They all really came to fight the rest of Klal Yisrael, to fight the descendants of Yaakov. Yosef. Once they saw the crown of Yosef, who was the viceroy in Egypt, his crown was over there. They all put their crowns there as a tribute to Yaakov. 36 foreign crowns. If you look in the article where they detail it, it was one. Yosef was one. Then there was 12 princes of Ishmael and 23 chiefs of Esav, totaling 36. They gave excessive eulogy, a strong eulogy for Yaakov. Apparently, there was even some sort of eulogy that horse and donkeys gave in their own language. They wanted to bury him. They came to Maras Machpelah to bury him. Asa Esav in Chevron. Esav came, Kamakev. He was holding them back. Mamri Kiryas Arba, he Chevron. Why is it called Kiryas Arba? Arba Zugos Hayu. It only is a place for 4 people, 4 pairs to be buried, 8 people. Adam Mechav was 1. Avram and Sarah is 4. Yitzchak and Rivka is 6. Yaakov and Leah. You cover Leah, right? You want to bury Yaakov and Leah there, but Yaakov himself had to share that with me, right? I descend from the same father, from Yitzchak. Yaakov used his portion to give to Leah. The last remaining one is for me. Esav, that was still alive, apparently. You sold it to him when you sold the rights for the Bechorah. I sold the extra right of Bechorah. Bechorah gets Pishnayim. But if there's only 2 portions, so you divide it half and half. You don't get 2. His 2 doesn't come before your none. You don't get, it's not 2 and 0 if there's only 2 portions. Amrulayin. They said back to him, no, you did sell your entire portion. Bekivri asher kirisili, right? Yaakov, when he asked his sons to bury him in Eretz Yisrael, he says, my burial site, Asher Karisi. What does Karisi mean? Kira means that he purchased it. It's a lashon of sale. In the islands, they call the word mechira a sale, kira. Amar lehu havuli igrasa. Give me a document. Give me a proof that I sold everything. Amar le igrasa v'ardim Mitzrayim. Without the document in Egypt, who's going to go bring it? Nezel Naphtali. Naphtali should go to Kalil. He's very fast. Like a gazelle. The Ksiv Naphtali Shlucha is compared to a gazelle. I noticed in Imre Shefer, he gives words of beauty. Amar Revo, I'll take Imre Shefer, El Imre Sefer, words of a document to prove that it belongs to Yaakov. He sold him everything. Chushim Breda Dan Taman Hava. Chushim, who was the son of Dan, was there. He was hard of hearing. He couldn't hear so well. Amar Lu, Mahai, what's going on? He didn't know what was going on. Amar Le, Kama Akev. He said Esav is preventing Yaakov from being buried there. Kama Akev Hayar, the Asi Naphtali Ma'ardim Mitzrayim. He's preventing him until they bring the document from Mitzrayim. Amar Lu, Vad Asi Naphtali Ma'ardim Mitzrayim. He Avi Abba Mutal Bizayon. He's concerned about his grandfather. His grandfather is going to be in Bizayon. He's going to be desecrated by not being buried. Shakal Kulpa, he took a stick, Machi Aresha. He hit Esav on his head. Natran Eini V'Naflu Akara. The Yaakov. He killed him apparently, and his eyes fell out. V'naflu akar the Yaakov. His eyes fell near the feet of Yaakov. Paskinu Yaakov. At that moment, Yaakov, who was dead, opened his eyes and smiled or he laughed. And the siv Yismach Sadik Kichaze Nakam Pamav Yirchatz Badam Russia. The Sadik will be happy when he sees that revenge was taken from the blood of Russia. But also Shah and Iskaima and Rivka. At that time, the prophecy that Rivka said came true. She was talking to Yaakov. She didn't want him to be killed by Esau. Why should I lose both of them? They actually did both, at least were buried, we'll see in a second, on the same day. They didn't die on the same day. They ended up were buried on the same day. The Gemara asks, why did we credit Yosef for burying his father? The other brothers would have done it also. His brothers took him to Eretz Canaan. Right? This pasuk is talking about they took him and they actually completed the burial. So you see, they wanted to bury him also. Why is Yosef the one credited with it? Amru henichulo kvodo. No, the reason he gave credit to Yosef because they had the opportunity also to start the burial process. They finished the burial process, but to start the burial process, they also had the opportunity. Yet they said, let Yosef do it. He's a king. It's more honor for a father to be dealt with by kings than regular people like us. Now, the obvious question is, it makes sense what they're saying. So why did they lose out? Why don't we say Midah Keneged Midah? They should also join in the schus that Yosef got by burying his father. For that answer, you have to wait for Enoch Ben Sion when I have a special story from my youth to tell you, to illustrate and prove the point that I'm going to make in Enoch Ben Sion. Milan Agodol mi Yosef, right? The Brisa before said that Yosef, right, was buried by Moshe on account of him burying his father. He got buried by Moshe. Moshe got buried by God because he buried Yosef. See how great the mitzvahs were to Moshe Rabbeinu. Shekol Yisrael Kulan is asked about Biza. When they were leaving Egypt, at least at the end of Makas Koshech, they all took the spoils. Who is asking mitzvahs? He was dealing with mitzvahs. Someone who's smart will grab mitzvahs. What was the mitzvah? He was bringing the bones. He was finding the bones of Yosef to bring them up to bury them. Where did he find them? Amru Serach Ba'as Asher. Serach Ba'as Asher. She was still alive. The daughter of Asher. Asher was the brother of Yosef. His daughter lived a very long life. She was still alive at the time Yitzias Mitzrayim. The Shtayr Mosa Hador. She was remained from that generation. Halach Moshe Ethlei went to her. Amar la Klumat Yodad Hechan Yosef Kover. Where is he buried? Amar lo Aron Shel Matech Asasalim Mitzrayim. They made a metal coffin for him. Kavu be Nilus Hanar. They threw him in the Nile River. Kadeshis Baruch Memav. They wanted a blessing that the Nile should be fruitful and should water their crops well. Halach Moshe Amar al Sfas Nilus. He went on the edge of the banks of the Nile River. Amar lo Yosef, Higia Aish Nishpa Kadosh Baruch Hu Shani Gol Eschem. The time has come where Hashem has promised that the Gula will come. Higia Shvua Shehishbata Es Yisrael. And the time has come for Klal Yisrael, who promised to take Asmos Yosef. Yosef made his brothers and Klal Yisrael bring his bones out of Mitzrayim. If you show me where you are, it's good. If you don't raise out of the waters, then we're cleansed. We don't have to fulfill our shvuah. Immediately, this metal casket of Yosef floated up from the Nile River. Don't be in wonderment how iron or metal can float to the top of water. There was a story by Elisha where someone was chopping wood and the top of the axe fell into the water. And he said, he was in astonishment, the person who lost it. He said, it's borrowed, it's in the river. Elisha said to him, Ananafa, where to fall? He showed him the place in the water where it fell. He took a piece of wood, he threw it there. And the piece of iron, the head of the axe, came up in the water. It's a logical argument. Elisha, Talmido Shel Eliyahu, he was the student of Eliyahu. Eliyahu, Talmido Shel Moshe. Eliyahu was a student ultimately of Moshe. Saf Barzil Panov. He was able to elevate iron from the depths of the sea. Maybe they Moshe Rabbeinu, certainly Moshe would be able to do it. Omer, he wasn't buried in the water of Nelson. It says, Bekarbonit Shel Malachim Hayakavar. He was buried in a big catacombs. I don't know, a big burial site. A pyramid or something like that, where all the Egyptian kings were buried. And Halach Moshe Amar Karbarnit. He stood by this huge burial site. Maybe it was what are those tombs above ground called? Not sure what it's called. But there were a lot of kings buried there. Amar Yosef. The time has come for the Gula. We're trying to Mekayim the Shvuah that we had to bury you in Eretz Yisrael. If you show us where you are mutav, if you don't, we're cleansed from the Shvuah. His coffin began to shake. Not Moshe took it. There were two, literally, boxes or coffins. The Aron with the Luchos Abris, where the tablets were. That was the Shashchina. People who would pass by Klal would say, what's in these two boxes? One is the coffin of a dead person. One is the Torah, Hashem. They asked why a dead person shouldn't be accompanying the Shechina, the representation of God. Amru, on top of your Gimel and Beis, it's not degrading because the coffin of Yosef was representative of fulfillment of the words of the Shekhinah. Yosef fulfilled everything that was written in the Torah. Moshe. Again, the Gemara asks a similar question as before. If Moshe didn't deal with the burial of Yosef, Yisrael wouldn't have done it. Moshe only took it to the border of Eretz Yisrael. He actually didn't bring it in. The rest of Klal Yisrael actually buried him in Shechem, which is in Eretz Yisrael. Yosef's descendants wouldn't have dealt with it. The bones of Yosef were inheritance for his descendants. Amru, what did they say? The descendants of Yosef said, they said it's better that a lot of people deal with it than a few people. That's why a lot of people end up burying him in Shechem. And when the bones were being brought out of Mitzrayim, they said, let Moshe, who was an important person, deal with it and not people who are smaller people. Again, the same question. It seemingly makes a lot of sense. Why were they punished? Why didn't they get Midah Keneged Midah? Kavru b'Shechem. He was buried in Shechem. Why was he buried in Shechem? Right? Originally, when the brothers sold him into slavery, they sold him near Shechem. Right? It was a place in Dosan. It's questionable exactly where it was. It was a place near Shechem. So therefore, he has to come back to that place and be buried there. Kasher Kraya Dade. Two psukim seem to conflict with each other. Ksiv Vayikach Moshe Asmos Yosef Imov. Ksiv Asmos Yosef Asher Helu Bnei Yisrael. And one pasuk says that Moshe took the bones. One pasuk says that Bnei Yisrael took the bones. The second pasuk is really more truthful because even though Moshe started, he brought the bones out of Mitzrayim. He never actually got. He went through the Midbar 40 years. He never actually got to Eretz Yisrael. And Bnei Yisrael finished it. They actually buried him in Shechem. And therefore, the second pasuk tells him that they really buried him because they finished the mitzvah. Kilu aso, the person who finished like he did. A person who starts the mitzvah doesn't finish it, he loses any honor that he had. Yehuda, who began to save Yosef, he saved him from being killed from the brothers, but he didn't return him to his father. So immediately he went down. He had Rida. Rabbi Shmuel ben Nachmani Amar Af Kover Isha Banam. You'll also bury your wife and kids in your lifetime. Subsequently, his wife died. And his sons died. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rab Nima Nikra Yosef Atzmos Bechayev. Yosef, when he said to bury them, he said, "Bury my bones." Why did he call it his bones in his life? Say bones is a degradation to a person. A real person is his flesh, his basar v'dam. That's a real person. Or bones, prop up your body, but that's not really who you are. So, he spoke of himself in a degrading way because he did something wrong. He didn't protest for the honor of his father. When his brothers were speaking to him, and they didn't know he was Yosef, maybe after he revealed himself to them, Avdecha, they called their father his Eved of Yosef, who was the viceroy in Egypt. He didn't say anything. It's my father. You don't have to say he's my Eved, he's my slave. Why did Yosef die before his brothers? He was a rabbi. Someone's not a rabbi. He acts like a rabbi. He dies earlier. Certainly, if you're an actual rabbi. I didn't say it. The Gemara says it. Yosef Hura Mizraim. Yosef was brought down to Mizraim. I'll take Hurad El Horid. It wasn't brought down to Mizraim. Horid. Shahorid is like Paro Midulasan. When he interpreted the dream and he became to power, he put down all the astrologers in Mitzrayim were let go of their positions. Vayekneu Potiphar Stris Paro. When Yosef came to Egypt, Potiphar bought him. Amar of Shekanel Atzmo. Yikneu, he bought him for himself, it sounds like. He bought him for Atzmo. He wanted Mishkav Zachar. He was apparently, homosexual. But Gavriel Piro, and what happened? Gavriel came and emasculated him. Ksiv Potiphar himself, Potiphar, it's called Potiphar, like the word Priya. He lost, I guess his genitals were cut off. Milanu Gadol and Moshe. Hashem said, we're talking about the burial now of Moshe, Rav Lecha. Moshe prayed that he should be able to enter Israel. Hashem said, stop praying, Rav Lecha, it's too much for you. So, Amar Rabbi Levi, Barav Bise, Barav Bisruhu. Moshe informed someone with the word Barav, Ravlach, and he was informed Ravlach. Barav Bise, or Rav Lachem. He told the Bnei Kas, the Korach, Bnei Korach, Rav Lachem, it's too much what you're doing. Barav Bisruhu, Rav Lecha. Hashem says, too much, don't daven anymore. Davar Acher, a different explanation. Rav Lach, Rav Yesh Lecha. There's someone you have as a Rebbe, meaning who needs to be appointed as the leader of Klal Yisrael. Manu Yeshua. Yeshua's time has come. Davar Acher. Rav Lach Shalo Ayamru HaRav Kama Kasha V'Talmud Kama Saram. Recognize that I'm your master. And if you keep on pleading and I deny you, so people are going to say the master is so difficult to his student, the student is so insistent, he persists, and the Rav is not nice to him. Kokak Lama. Why was Moshe Rabbeinu punished so much? They couldn't enter Israel. Davened all these tefillos, nonetheless he wasn't answered. And he obviously the sin was Mehema Riva, but something where it says, if you're a very strong camel, you load it up with more. So Moshe Rabbeinu was a big tzaddik, so therefore Hashem was able to punish him for smaller sins on a grander scale. Obviously he'll get paid back in Olam Haba. Moshe, when he was dying, he said, I'm 120 years today. Why did it say Hayom? What's significant? Hayom below Yoma Ushnosai. Today, precisely, my years and days have completed. Hashem tzaddikim, they live a complete life, including months and days. One of the brachas is you'll have a complete life. We learned yesterday, not this morning, but also in Daf It that he was born in Zayin Adar, he died in Zayin Adar. Moshe says, I can't go out and come in. My lot says you couldn't actually physically move to go in and out of the doorway. His vigor didn't cease. He was very strong. He went up to his place of Har Nevo where he died. There are 12 cliffs over there. He was able to climb up very easily in one step. So he was very strong. He wasn't able to fight people, to argue people in Divrei Torah. The gates of wisdom were held back from him. Moshe and Yeshua stood at the Oel Moed. Tana Oza Shabbos shall dio zug haisa. That was a unique Shabbos where you basically had two leaders standing next to each other. One was leaving and one was entering. Amrav Yehuda Ilmali Mikra Kosav Yafshar Amrav. The pasuk didn't say you won't be able to say something. Hechan Moshe Meis. Where did he die? I know he's buried in Ruvain's portion. L'chsiv Vayal Moshe Marvas Mavahar Nevo. The Nevo B'Chalkal Sheruvain Kam. How do you know Nevo is the Mount Nevo is in Ruvain's portion? L'chsiv Vayal Moshe Marvas Mavahar Nevo. Sorry, the pasuk says, and the inheritance of Reuven was a place called Nevo. I'm going to leave out the parentheses. V'hechan Moshe cover. Where was he buried? That's where he died. Where was he buried? B'chalko shel Gad, in God's portion. The Vayar Reishis Lo. Right? But when it talks about God, Reishis Lo, it continues in saying, Chalkas Mechokek or something like that, where he was buried. Yeah, Chalkas Mechokek. Chalkas Mechokek is a reference to Moshe Rabbeinu, who gave out the laws. How long is between the place where he died and the place where he was buried? 4 mil. A mil is about a kilometer, I guess 2.6 miles. Those are 4 mil in miolicho. Who escorted him from where he died to his burial? The wings of the Shekhinah escorted him. The Malachim were eulogizing and saying, Hashem did justice. He does the correct justice. We say Baruch Dayan Emes when someone dies. It's the correct judgment. The only way of expressing ourselves when someone dies is Baruch Dayan Emes. Hakadosh Baruch Hu Omer. Hakadosh Baruch Hu eulogizing. Miyakum li mereim. Who will stand with me among friends? Who will fight against evildoers? Shmuel Omar. Shmuel says, what did Hashem say? Mika Chacham Yodei Pesher. Who is as wise as Moshe? Who knows how to make compromises? Rabbi Yochanan Amar Chachma Mein Timza. Rabbi Yochanan says, Hashem said, Chachma Mein Timza. Where are you going to find Chachma? Wisdom like Moshe. Rabbi Nachman Amar Vayamas Sham Moshe. He said, Hashem said, Vayamas. And Darshan Vayamas. Vai Mace. Woe that he died. Samalyon. Some say he was an angel. Amar Vayamas. His explanation what Hashem says. Vayamas Sham Moshe. Safra, Rabbah, the Yisrael, Moshe, the great scholar of Israel, died. Tanya Elazar Gadol Omer, Shnei Mesar Mil, Al Shnei Mesar Mil, Keneged Machana Yisrael, Baskol Mashmiya Omer. A Baskol came out at that time when he passed away and was being buried, which was, and it encompassed the voice descended for basically the encampment of Klal Yisrael, 12 miles by 12 miles. Yamas Moshe Safra Rabbah Yisrael was saying, the great scholar of Israel has died. Some say Moshe actually never died. It says there he died there. When he went to Har Sinai to get the Torah, it says he was Sham there. It's just like by Har Sinai, he wasn't actually dead. He went up to Shamayim. He was serving Hashem, he was learning from Hashem. Afkan, so too, in his death also, he never really died. He was always eternally serving Hashem, or spending his time with Hashem and learning from Hashem. That's the conclusion of today's shir. Stay tuned for Ian Ben Seal when I talk about an incident which happened in my youth, which I always wondered if I did the right thing or not. And the answer is yes, I did the right thing. And I did ask one of my rabbis whether I did the right thing or not. I don't know why this incident remained with me over the years, but today's Gemara really talks about, and the way I decided, or I figured out that I did the right thing, was really an answer to the question, something that really is bothersome in today's daf. Stay tuned for Ian with Ben Sion coming up next.